Gents, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing okay. Within today's video, I wanted to discuss the importance of taking action and taking action quickly. A lot of guys have big ambitions, big goals, things that they want to achieve. But when that moment arises to pull the trigger, take action, get it done, or just start, they start going over in their head all the possibilities that could come from taking action, and they focus on all the negatives. They say, well, if I mess it up, everybody's going to know. If I mess it up, I'm going to be an embarrassment. Let me make sure that every single element of what I am trying to do is perfectly aligned first, then I can take action. Then it's absolutely risk-free. So they go away, they sort their life out, they organize every single minute detail to launch whatever it is that they're trying to do, to take action on whatever it is that they are looking to change. And then something else comes up. Something else comes up, and this cycle goes on and on and on and on and on. And a lot of guys say, well, I'll just leave it till a little bit later. Later, in a few weeks, when everything's sorted out, then I can take action, then I can start. Well, guys, the reality is later is a very dangerous word. Some guys end up saying later for an entire lifetime. There are guys right now, toward the end of their life, that quite frankly have a long list of regrets, that if they could grab you right now and shake you and tell you, please don't make the same mistakes that I did, they would. But you're not always going to get that opportunity. It's important that with all the technology that we have, with YouTube, with all these platforms, with all these forms of access to information, that we actually learn from that information and we learn from that access. The truth is that in 2026, the formula for success and the formula for avoiding failure is pretty well documented. It's pretty simple. I'm not saying anything that's not been said before, but maybe you've clicked on this video and right now is the right moment for you to hear this. But if you keep doing what you're doing right now, you keep avoiding the work, you keep procrastinating, you keep making excuses as to why you're not ready to start, why you're not ready to make a big change in your life, then you're going to keep getting the same results. And don't be so naive and arrogant to think that whenever you really want to change in a couple of years, you're going to be able to do it like that. Because the truth about habits is that they strengthen over time. So that can be good, because you can be a guy who exercises a bunch of really healthy, great habits that make him really happy. And he builds on those habits over time and they become stronger and much harder to shake off. He develops some real consistency. But it is the same with you and bad habits. Bad habits compound over time. Bad habits become harder to shake off, and bad mindsets are the same as well. So if right now you're avoiding work, if right now there are things that you want to change but you keep making excuses, don't be telling yourself that in a few years this is just going to shake off. It's going to be harder in a few years. It's going to be harder in a few years than now. And every year that goes by that you continue down this road, it becomes harder and harder and harder. And in 10 years from now, it's going to be 100 times harder than it is right now to turn things around. Now, I believe if you are above ground, if you're alive, you can make change. You can change your life completely. It isn't over until the fat lady sings, as the expression goes. It's just harder. It's just harder with time. So look, if you're a young guy and there's things that you want to change, there's things that you are motivated to change, I would just say go for it. I would just say start. Because every day that you don't, every year that you don't, you make it harder for yourself. So save yourself some pain. I adopted this myself. at a really young age, getting into some really good habits, trying to get rid of some really bad habits, and it compounded over time. It became easier to maintain the good habits, and it became easier to shake off the bad habits. Now, I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But those systems were put in place a long time ago. And if you're a young guy watching this right now, you can save yourself a world of pain by just starting to take action. By stopping waiting, by no more procrastinating, no more telling yourself that later's a better moment, no more coming up with excuses to justify why you can't start when the reality is you're just petrified of being seen to fail. That's what it is. That's what we all went through at one point or another, that fear of being seen to fail, because no one wants to seem like an amateur. No one wants to seem like a beginner. But my friend, if you want to be great at anything in life, you must risk that embarrassment. You must risk being seen as an amateur. Let's take a really common example. A lot of people want to get in better shape. A lot of people want to get in the gym. Maybe they're so lacking in confidence. Their physique has really gotten out of hand and they understand that they really need to make a change. But they have this fear of getting in the gym environment and being seen as the newbie, not knowing how to work all the equipment. Maybe being around a lot of people that are in great shape and they can feel quite intimidated. You know, it's an overwhelming experience for some people, especially if they've never been in that environment before. But a reframe I would say to somebody in that situation is, well, everybody who ever trained in that particular gym at any point in time ever had their first day at one point or another. They didn't know what to do either. They didn't know the machines. They didn't know the equipment. They had their form terrible. They looked lost. I mean, I remember when I first went to the gym, it was a mess. Like, I was just playing around with every machine. You know, I'm doing a workout on my legs 1 minute, a workout on my biceps the next, then my chest in the same day. Didn't have a clue, but over time that confidence was built. And there were people that were there that were really kind. They were really nice. They helped me out. They gave me form advice. They showed me which machines to do in what way. And yeah, I was nervous getting into it, but I was younger. I wasn't massively nervous about it, but I had some anxiety. And maybe some of you guys, or somebody watching this video, as an example, has that fear of starting. But most of the time it's in our heads. Most of the time you go to that environment for the first time and people are lovely. People are supportive. People are friendly. People give you help when you ask for it. But if we keep going over the potential negatives in our mind and then using that as a justification as to why we can't start when we've never tried in the first place, we're doing it to ourselves. And life doesn't reward those who keep making excuses. Life doesn't reward those people who keep using those excuses as a justification for why they can't do it. Because there are people with worse circumstances who've done it. There are people who had some real issues in their life who took action regardless of those issues and never once used it as an excuse. You got to get out of the habit of convincing yourself that you're any different. You're not. That doesn't have to be a negative though. This is a positive. You can win the same way anybody else can win. You've just got to get out of your own way. Sometimes before you're even ready. I have a sports coaching background, and there were times in university on my sports coaching degree where we would be coaching in front of a lot of other coaches. The pressure was high, and the coach educator would put his hand up and he'd say, right, I need somebody to go and take the first session in front of everybody. And I was scared. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be the first person. But my hand was up anyway. I'd already volunteered. Because at that time, and for many years now, I've understood the importance of doing things even when you're shit scared of doing them. Volunteering because you know that, yes, this is something that I have some anxiety about, I have some healthy level of fear about, but that I also know is going to serve me very well and make me a stronger person on the other side. Later is a very dangerous word, because if you keep that going for long enough, you're going to become a guy who has a long list of regrets that he simply can't change. Because some things are time bound, some things are really hard to do the older you get. So don't allow it to be your reality that you're the guy sat on the front porch swinging in the little rock chair with a cigar on the go, thinking about how much he messed up. Thinking about all this stuff that he could have done, that he should have done, but didn't do. Don't let that be you, because that's painful. That's real pain. This short-term pain of taking action, this short-term pain of risking failure is nothing, especially if you're a young guy. What have you got to lose? You don't have a mortgage. You don't have kids. And look, even if you do, even if you're watching this in your 30s and 40s, you're not in your 60s and 70s. There's still a lot of time for you to do things. There are a lot of billionaires now that weren't billionaires, when they were in their 50s, but turned billionaires in their 60s. It's still possible. You find that even people, when they get really late in life, turn their life around just by doing something that gives them purpose. And look, it doesn't have to be about money. This doesn't have to be about material things. This can just be about how you view yourself. If there is something that you want to do, an avenue that you want to go down that you think is going to make your life a lot better, and you think is going to bring you some joy, bring you some happiness, you've got a responsibility to start. You've got a responsibility to take action. And you got to stop kidding yourself that later's a better time. That any time other than now is the time to do it. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. When we're young, we feel invincible. But it's arrogant to think that tomorrow is guaranteed. It's not. You don't know what's coming around the corner. So you might as well live every single day trying to make sure that you got everything done that you wanted to get done. Otherwise, what's the point? What are we really here for? We're here to fulfill a purpose. We're here to get a job done. Don't be the guy who doesn't even pick up the tools. Don't be the guy who doesn't even try. Go out knowing that you gave everything you could possibly give. That is the best feeling that a man can have, when he really knows that he gave everything, his best shot. No more later, no more tomorrow. Anyway, if you took some value from this video today, be sure to hit the like button, consider subscribing to the channel if you're new around here, and comment your thoughts down below. As always, guys, thank you for your time and your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.